Morning, folks. Easy Jeezy here. This is going to be a video regarding the tachometer installation and the Karmann Ghia that I used to have. Greg Porter's got a Karmann Ghia. We've been talking, and it really worked out slick for me. And I couldn't believe that I don't really have any interior pictures of my car, or actually the installation dash light. Of course, it was probably over 12 years ago that I stumbled onto this little trick, and worked out pretty good. Just I couldn't get the pictures to go to my current computer, so I've got this old-fashioned, outdated hard drive memory. What is this, a USB 2.0? I don't know what the format is on that thing. They're JPEG pictures, but I can't import them into my computer, so I'm just gonna show Greg some pictures of my Karmann Ghia. I just sold it last summer, and I think I've talked about that with him. So let's just go through here and take a look at some old photos that I had of it. And I don't know, if you want to look at it longer, I guess you just hit the pause button. It's probably boring to most people, but this was a little car that I was actually looking for a 67 Bug, and I ran across this in the newspaper, and it was 64 Karmann Ghia, and lady talked to me on the phone, and boy, she was a real salesperson. She told me it had this custom paint job, which I wasn't too wild about, but she said, come on over, take a look at it. It had that aluminum bumper on the back. It was just as you see it. Had the chrome reversed wheels. The guy had spent a ton of money on it, and they wanted to get a boat. So that's the exhaust system that I'm running on the Bug right now. It seems kind of loud and out of place on the Bug, but on the Karmann Ghia it seemed, more like a sports car. And it had a big 2276 or 94 by 82 engine in it, and it was a real fun ride. It had a lot of pep on it. I remember the first time I took it out and really got after it. I got it up to, like, I buried the tachometer. Or the speedometer. I don't even remember what it stopped at, but I buried it, and I ran out of road, and I went to hit the brakes, and it had drum brakes on the front and rear, and it got me stopped, fairly good the first time, and I went back and did the loop, and came back again, and hit the brakes, and oh my gosh, if there would have been a car coming, it was like a T intersection, and I ran out of road, and I didn't make it. I went right through the stop sign and didn't lock the wheels, but it was a fun ride, and I drove it for 12 years or so. I had numerous engines in it. I've always been one that was unsettled about my engines, so I just kind of ran whatever I felt like it. It was no big deal to swap out a motor. I've always had a garage, and anyhow, let's see. Trying to find well, I think this was one of the favorites. Anyhow, to get onto that tachometer installation, I always wanted to have a tachometer, and I had bought an Tachometer tachometer for my Manx style buggy, and I thought, man, it'd sure be nice if I could have one of these. And the Gene Berg style, they put one up on the dashboard, and I had the padded dash. I didn't want to cut holes in it. It just didn't seem like it wanted to, I wasn't going to do that. And it didn't put it on the floor. The windshield sloped back, so it didn't sit right. And I ended up, I was holding it in the car thinking, boy, where can I set this thing? I just want a tachometer so bad. And it had that darn clock in it. And this is a model 3780 Tachometer. It says 3 3/4 inch electronic tachometer, operates 6 or 8 volts, and it does work on points or electronic ignition. There's some dip switches in the back, and if you look at the directions, it'll tell you which way to go. So anyhow, I was thinking, I wish I could put it where this clock is. How could I get this where that clock is? I don't want to butcher up my dashboard. I don't want to ruin the clock and, you know, the original clock and stuff. So anyhow, I lifted the trunk in the front and I looked at the back of the clock, just trying to size it up, see how I could get it out, maybe figure out if this would fit in there, because it was pretty close as far as fit went. And I noticed that there was, I don't know, 3 or 4 of these knurled screws on the bezel on the outside rim of the clock. And I thought, well, yeah, okay, this thing was made to just pop right out. I think there was a wire for the light and then the wire for the clock mechanism itself, which, you know, it didn't work. So I had this 3 3/4 inch tachometer, and it's set. It went right through the hole. It went right into the trunk. It's like it's laying there in the wires, and it's like, well, this ain't good. Oh, I wish there was something I could fill the space with. And I had some dual cadrons with an equalizer tube going from each manifold, and it was out of 3/8 tubing. And so I had this fuel line. This is it says Napa on it, 3/8. Doesn't matter. And so what I did is I just set it underneath. There's a lip here, you know. So I just set that on that lip, and I ran it around the outside. This isn't the original piece, but you just get it, you know, just measure it and cut it so that it touches at the end, and you don't even see the seam. So it made it a little bit bigger, and it was just a little bit squishy. You know, when it's new, it's soft if it hasn't had any fuel in it. And I just held it with my fingers, and I started pushing it into the bezel, because the bezel stayed in the dash. And I just kind of like pushed that thing, and it was a friction fit. And it fit perfect. I just set that baby in there, and that's where it's at for the next 11 years. I never had to touch it. It never came loose. The wires were right there, easy accessible on the back. I did have to run the one wire back to the coil in the engine compartment. I just put it underneath the carpet, ran it along the tunnel and through the firewall. So, you know, there's an idea for you. I don't know if it's something that you want to try, but it's definitely doable, and it sure was nice to have that little tack in there. I don't know. I always like that kind of stuff anyhow. So, guess I'll just wrap this one up, and I hope them people up north are doing okay in the snow. Sounds like they're just getting hammered. I can't believe that whole East Coast. It's the hurricane and now the snow and the cold winter. A lot of those people never got services back. That must be rough. I mean, I hope everybody's doing okay up there. And oh well, you know, I guess probably my turn's coming where I live, and eventually we all get clobbered with some unusual weather lately. It seems like nothing's consistent. And anyhow, I'm starting to babble as usual, so talk to you guys later. Easy Jeezy out.